Praise the sun! Ironic considering that I'm actually in a basement. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and today we're looking at my favorite character in all of Mortal Kombat. Kotal Kahn! I've been looking forward to doing this guy's abilities, and it's kind of funny that I'm doing like my favorite character in all of Mortal Kombat in the second episode of the second season of the Ability Almanac and Fatality Friday, but so many twos! Alright, let's get on with this and check out Kotal Kahn's abilities. Kotal Kahn is my absolute favorite character in Mortal Kombat 11 for multiple reasons. His design, the fact that he has buffs out the friggin' frijole that allow him to do cool stuff, and in this game they really wanted to emphasize that sort of boss feel. Like he's got big reach, he can buff himself. It's a good time. One of the main buffs that he has is called Hui Hui. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, where it's a command grab that buffs his damage. The first level buffs his damage by about 10%. I'm using back 2 because it does 5%, so you can kind of get an idea. So that's 62.5, that's 12, so that's 25%. And this is 16.5. Yeah, 16.5, which is 33, that's 33%. So you get the full buff, which is going to take a little bit, so I'll just fast forward here. There you go. Now, he's ready to do big damage. And I do mean big damage. There goes 43%. And of course, that's not counting sun buffs, but we're not taking that into account right now. Now, his forward 2 normally is this big sword into the side move that is very brutal. But you can equip Kahn Cut, his classic forward 2 that launches. It's not as much of a... It's reducing damage, and you have a little more recovery to work with, but you can get one of these off in a combo for damage shenanigans. Now, Yeye Kame Disc is his standard projectile. It's a straight projectile, it does decent damage, it knocks back, it's pretty good, and it crushing blows at maximum range if it's a punish. You can meter burn this in order to actually get a second hit at close range, knocking them back even further. So this becomes a sort of combo ender with certain strings, knocking them back and allowing you to kind of go into zoning or set up your buffs and such. Time to move on to the next loadout. Now, I've named this one Royal Nagual because in Aztec mythology, the Nagual is a shapeshifter capable of transforming into various animals, including a jaguar. Tecuani Mal allows Kotal Kahn to do just that. This is absolutely my most... This is like... Man, I love shapeshifters, and I love animals in combat, and I love animals in general. So, this move made me very happy when we saw it, and it was... Oh, it's so good. And this is a great combo ender, actually, because of the corner carry that it provides. Boom, your opponent's in the corner. Now, while not listed, you can actually amplify the attack right as he transforms. And what does that do, you might ask? It ups the damage of the move sequentially. So the pounce and then the rest of that. So instead of being a move that does 11%, you can meter burn it to do 120%. It's very slight, but it hurts like a mother, and it will push it to 30% one bar basically if you do this. Pretty much, which is fantastic because 30% one bar was pretty much the standard for Mortal Kombat X. Now there's also Tecuani Pounce, which is the air version, which is an aerial party crashing mid that comes down, and he rolls, which I believe can duck under some projectiles, but I've not tested that yet, so don't take my word for it. There's no amplify. Oh, I was mistaken. There is an amplify from the air, which turns it from 8% to 12%. And just like the Tecuani Mal, that is hidden. So you're going to have to keep an eye out for that. And remember that the cat can be meter burned. I equipped Kahn Cut on this one for combo potential, but that's really all that needs to be said about this variation. Time to move on. Blessed by Sol. This is named because of the fact that the Aztec and Kotal Kahn in particular worship the sun. Now, you have a new move called Tonatia Burst, which is a straight-up anti-air type move. So you'd want to use this in the corner, or if the opponent's trying to jump. Like this. And if you meter burn it, it becomes sort of an AoE thing, which can be handy for ending combos in a splat and such. Hi. Yeye Kame Disc has an alternate amplify as well. Remember, one note is that both versions of the amplify have to be equipped. And this one turns it into a straight projectile. It's not a restand, but it will, it's not a restand from juggles, but it hurts, and it keeps the opponent at range without knocking them down. Then you have Godright. It's what you would expect from his sun buff, but you actually set it in two different ranges. You can set it, excuse me, here, or, oops, here. You don't have a very far, and it doesn't track the opponent's position. This is the original down forward 2, by the way, that replaces Kahn Cut. But you're wondering what happens if you amplify it? You can't. You actually cannot amplify Godray. So it's actually one of his worst abilities, in my opinion, because at least with the other one, it tracks you, and you can meter burn it to have it track the opponent for a limited time. This you can't track. You have to kind of be smart with where you put it, which, when compared to the sort of set it and forget it mentality of the original, I just can't get behind. Time to move on to the next one. I was a fool! I forgot one important thing about Yeye Kame Disc's alternate amplify directed rays. Stack all 3 totems, and you get this. If I had to guess, that might actually be a proper restand. That doesn't look like it's very good otherwise. I guess it's good for catching opponents off guard, but it's probably one of the worst crushing blows. I can't ever seem to time it right, so, because I just want to see if it actually restands. Okay, so it is a restand, but there's no DOT, and it does less damage than an uppercut. Like, not worth it. Where Kotal gets nuts, in my opinion, are his totems. I could make an entire video on the totems, and in fact, I kind of have it planned, but the gist of it is that you have 4 different totems, and you can kind of set them in order to buff in different ways. Etzli is the blood totem, and what this does is it buffs Kotal Kahn in a way just like the blood totems in MKX. If you get hit, they won't pop, but it'll reset the counter. And one totem on its own will heal 37.5% or 3/8 of your health. Get 2 of them stacked, and you will actually heal for more, as one might expect when you're stacking totems. But I'm gonna kind of go off of memory here. I believe this is a 75. Yeah, this is 75% heal. So you have 3/8 and 6/8. Does it become 100% if you have all 3 totems up? Well, no. It's worse than that. And by worse, I mean worse for the opponent. 9/8, 112.5%. What's that look like for the opponent when you're talking heals? I just did that. I got 43% health back. And that's me being conservative. I could, if I really wanted to be mean, get 44, or I've gotten upwards of 70% health back before. How? Well, it also partially comes from this totem. the Amonquali, which is his damage buff. 10% on its own, 20% when stacked, and 30% with all three of them stacked. But here's where it gets messy. If I stack 3 totems like this, rather like this, I actually get the full benefit of both totems combined, allowing me to get 55% of my health back, for instance. And before you ask, yes, the Sunbeam counts towards the Blood Totem, allowing you to potentially rack up an insane amount of heals this way, which is absolutely nuts. And one thing I'm going to cover very briefly, just with the Amonquali, if you space them out, you actually get a bigger damage buff than if you stack them. But if you stack them, you will actually reset the timer. Each totem can be out for 10 seconds, but when stacked, it resets the timer, allowing for a total, if you're good, of about 30 seconds. I'm going to say about 28, because it's going to take a little bit of time for you to set up the totem. So about 28 seconds combined of ridiculous buff damage. That's a third of the match that the opponent has to watch out for you, doing 30 to 40% more damage. I'm not even kidding about that, by the way. If you set it up so that these are stacked like this, the opponent is eating close to 40% more damage, but the totems fall apart one at a time because they are not stacked. So that's kind of what I was talking about. And I did forget to mention one thing about the I'm not sure what that's called. Metiquisite cut. Okay, I'm gonna, and that is, it is a crushing blow. For really painful damage. So what's that gonna look like? Well, here's the problem. The totems go away during cinematic events, and that includes crushing blows. Which means you can set this up all you want, but you're not going to get much, and you've destroyed all of your totems. So there's extreme caveats there. Time to move on to the final loadout. Teohotika, sorry if I said that wrong, is Kotal Kahn's armor totem. And by armor, I mean he takes reduced damage. So I'm going to demonstrate that by temporarily playing a Shao Kahn to show you what I mean. So here, I'm going to stack 1, wait, and then let Shao Kahn sweep me. So sweeps do 7%. With this out, it does 5.6%. With the second one, it does 4.2%. And with the third one, it's 2.8. Because when they're stacked, each of these totems does 20%, then 40, then finally 60% reduced damage to Kotal Kahn. Meaning that while he can still get hit, the only way for you to really kind of reset the situation and get your damage going is to use up either a crushing blow or a fatal blow, because those are, quote, cinematic events that allows you to destroy those totems, or simply try and wait for the time and do 60% reduced damage, giving Kotal Kahn more opportunities to punish you. One thing that's interesting, I should probably say about the Teotika totem, is that you can separate these out too to get a different effect. But it's objectively worse, because these totems actually scale if they're not stacked together. So this is about 35 instead of 40, and this is just under 50% instead of 60%. So with the Teotika, you want to stack them, but with the Amonquali, I'm probably saying that wrong, the damage buff totem, you'll actually kind of want to space them out if you want more damage but want to risk them breaking apart. The last one, Chikatok, amplifies meter build. So for instance, I'll show you, as you know, offensive meter takes a little while to come back. Here's how long it takes to get to about halfway. Now if I
do this, and then drop a totem, you can see it regains quite a bit faster. Oh, but it gets worse. Oh, it gets worse. Here it is with 2 totems. And of course, with 3 totems, it just becomes downright disrespectful. That's pretty much, that was 2.5 bars basically in 10 seconds, which is ridiculous. Now, I've not actually experimented with this yet, so I'm going to take the time to do it. I'm actually going to take the time to experiment with this one. I want to space it out. Fast way to do that is to do this, and then do that. Oh, no. Oh, it's stacked. Damn it. It's hard not to. It's hard to keep these totems unstacked. Hold on. Okay, so I need a faster. That'll work. It looks like it's actually faster if you separate them. Oh my, okay. That is actually kind of nuts. That is it for Kotal Kahn. After this fatal blow, we will take a look at frame data. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to be awesome. And as always, there's frame data, and then that's Kotal Kahn. So, I'll see you guys later. Huh. I should probably take a look at that. To the rest of the loadouts for the rest of the frame data, because I caught this after the fact again. Really, I should look at all of the moves crushing blow requirements before I do it, before proceeding. Like. And worth noting is that, again, Tekuani Maul and Tekuani Pounce both have amplifiers that do not show up in the frame data. So, just something to keep in mind when you look at these and like, hey, where's the amplifier option here? Right now, it's not there. Hopefully, that data gets added in.